the last few years, you are still a very, very young brand relatively. And
yeah,
what,
super young.
yeah, exactly. And what happened in over the past 3 years is that we've been through a global health crisis. And
Really?
yeah, I know, yeah. And sadly, we went through that, and that was probably at one of your, at a time in your in the High Rocks kind of lifespan where you guys were having to make some strategic decisions about where we're going to go, what countries we're going to be in, how are we going to scale. Can you talk to me a little bit about how the challenges that you faced during those couple of years, but also how you, as the leader, as the visionary of the company, how did you help provide the people within your team with confidence that no matter what, you're going to get through this? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, that was, of course, a situation that no one could ever predict. And there was no game plan in any shelf or in any company to react to that. Like, I mean, the whole world stopped, right?
Yeah.
Especially for indoor mass participation events. I mean, consider that. That's what was
it's a worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Outdoors also bad, but better than indoors. Like,
yeah.
However, that's a very funny story. So of course that was devastating. We were just growing. I was literally on my way to move my family to New York City to have a full focus on the US market. And we were ready to buy an apartment. The contracts were ready, and it was March 12th or something like in 2020. However, I remember the day I was there with my son and my wife, and we were looking for schools, and we wanted to sign the contract the week after. And that was the day, it was Wednesday or Thursday when Trump said he's closing the borders because of COVID. And we were like, holy shit, our daughter was still in Germany. And we said, okay, this will be for 2 weeks. Let's delay everything. Let's go back quickly, because it was clear they will cancel all the flights, etc. So we can't leave our daughter, and then we can't go back because we don't get any flights. So we were going back, said, okay, 2 weeks. And then everyone was fine. Like also the seller of the apartment, yeah, no problem. We delay by 2 weeks. I get you. And well, we know the story. So I think I couldn't get back to the US for 1.5 years. So now the funny story is, and that's sometimes luck, maybe it's entrepreneurship, I can't tell you. So very much, of course, the first 3 months, everything was locked down. No one was moving. Everyone was sitting at home waiting. And then it was opening up a little bit, right? And then, but it was clear, no events, no ever fucking way. We will do indoor events for the foreseeable future. So we sat down with my team. I said, okay, what can we do? But on the other hand, it's funny, we are indoors, so we can control the door. We can 100% control who's inside. So we said, okay, what if we find a way that we can test everyone right before the event? So we know these people are 100% negative, and suddenly it's the safest place in whole London when we do this event inside. Because there's logic. If you will not get contagious if you have a negative solid test, at least there's a time window where you definitely are not, you cannot infect other people. Even you're building up the virus in your body, can be. So you're still testing negative, but you're on the, like in the situation too. But I don't want to talk too much about Corona. However, we looked into testing systems and we found amazing fast testing systems, which today it sounds like, yeah, of course, everyone did this. But when we looked into this, no one was looking at it at all. So we found this system, we created a concept, we pitched it to the city of Hamburg. And they said, oh my God, yeah, this would really work, but we can't give you any approval because the pictures will be wrong. We cannot tell everyone to stay home. And then you see pictures of 3,000 people doing a fitness event. And I said, yeah, but I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense. Is that not a solution for everything, for restaurants and blah, blah, blah? yeah, no way. This will logistically not work, blah, 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 blah. So then I got a, I think I thought about, then we had companies that producing stuff. So home office doesn't work when you're, when you're a factory,
Yeah.
you're producing furniture. You can't send everyone to, let's do home office with Zoom calls. Doesn't work. So they of course had the right to go on. But when one person was tested positive with COVID, they had to shut down the whole factory for like 2 weeks,
Wow.
losing millions.
Yeah.
So I called them up and said, "Do you know what? We found this testing system, uh, and I think this can work. If you have a positive test, we build up stations in front of a factory, and we are testing every one of your employees every morning before they enter the facility." And we got the first jobs coming in, and then these companies dealt with the authorities, and they said, okay, yeah, that in this case we give you the green light because you are essential for that our daily life continues to work, blah blah blah. So we got into that business, and then in March, the German Minister of Health declared publicly in the beginning of next week, everyone in Germany is getting free tests every day, and the government will pay.
Wow.
And then we got a call from the government, from the Hamburg authorities, because everyone said, okay, great, but how do we do this? We have pharmacies, but they cannot even coming close to that capacity. So we got a phone call and said, well, we know you do this like mobile testing centers. Can you open 10 or whatever next Monday in Hamburg? And we said, well, okay, we do events. This is a little bit what in our wheelhouse, right? Organizing complex structures. So the whole company was switching. No one was working on Hyrox, but we were opening test center for Hamburg.
Wow.
We did 10 on Monday, and then they called us, can you do 10 more? And then I think at some point we were running 110 test center in the north of Germany.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was.
So the whole Hyros company was running test center. We were hiring 1,500 people overnight. We were investing into a software that people can sign in and got their tests automatically, so that you speed up the process. And then we got, of course, very good money from the government. So suddenly, the whole team, we were suddenly 100 times bigger than we were as a core Hyros team. And we were running all these test center for 3 months, 4 months. But we made good money also. And suddenly we had the money to keep the Hyrox brand alive with virtual competitions, and everything was online digital, but we could afford to do that. We did this World Championship event with like 6 athletes in a warehouse without any spectators, because that was exactly the amount of people that were allowed to meet in a room. So we did this event, which was more of course, you don't make any money with that, but we could stream it. We got a lot of
marketing, right?
And we kept the brand alive, but funny this testing business gave us the fundings to come back strong in the moment when it was clear it's now opening up again.
Yeah.
So we were delaying the UK market apparently, because it was also, everything was locked down. And then and then when in the first moment when it was clear we can restart again, we launched London a year ago, which is crazy. I always have to tell this to myself. This is basically just a little more than a year than we have done the first London event in the UK.
Wow.
It's like 13 months. For me, it feels like ages, but it's and when you think when you see where we are now in the UK, it's unbelievable. So sometimes in life, but it was the same thing. We were picking something up more out of emergency mode, like, shit, how can we survive our events? And we found a solution which suddenly was very helpful to find a way to deal with the pandemic. And I'm, of course, every country did this now. Every country had these testing sites, etc. But usually it was done by pharma companies, etc. In the north of Germany, it was mainly done by us.
Wow. So you had,
So,
did you have all of your team suddenly like pivot their attention to
everyone.
that? It was just like, okay, for now, yeah.
Yeah, everyone was working basically 7 days a week, 15 hours a day
Wow.
on organizing that. It was crazy. And so suddenly everyone had lots, and we were testing us every day in the morning because we had this, of course, we had all these test sites and we had access to that. And so I have to say, we found a way to handle with this very specific time in a very good way, which was,
Wow.
of course, like a lot of luck, but also, I mean, thinking in the right direction at a time where other people were just stopping doing anything, taking the support from the government and shutting everything down, right?
Hit the like button down below. Make sure to subscribe so that you can learn from the very best that I'm going to be interviewing at the Summit Club. If you didn't know this already, I also have another podcast called the Unorthodox Podcast that I do with my co-founders, Liam and Mark over at Unorthodox. We're a Web3 marketing consultancy. If you want to go check it out, it's quite a lot of fun. If you want to learn a bit more about crypto and everything Web3, that's the place to come check it out. We interview some of the most interesting people within Web3 and also executives across some of the biggest brands on the planet. Come and join us. The links are also going to be down below in the description, and I'll see you next time.